like to remind everyone that this show is brought to you by the Dolphin Wars.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to King Dolphin TV. We are episode 196. I am Raymond. I am the author of the Dolphin Wars book trilogy and ruler of this greatest pod on YouTube. Remember, this is hashtag Podtober, day 4. And so Podtober is continuing today. And tonight we have as our guest Admiral Teag. He is a Star Trek. He has a Star Trek channel and loves talking about Star Trek. You've seen him on a bunch of channels besides his own. You've seen him on Anti-Derivative Jill and other places. So I thought I should get him on here and talk about his channel. But before we get going, as always, if you like what we're doing here in the pod, if you love these interviews and the fun that we have here, please like and subscribe. Also, if you know anyone I should interview, please get me their names, emails, DXs, and XDs so I can reach out to them because here it is. We've got 3 months left to go in the year, and we need to get the schedule done. So, welcome, Admiral Teag.
Hello, permission to come aboard.
Oh, permission granted. Before we get going, we shall welcome who's all here right now. It's always wonderful to see a great bunch of people here. And we have okay, let me do.
I see Hungry. I see Dadman.
Yeah, we got Dadman, yeah.
The lovely Sandra. Thank you, Sandra Feliciano, for having me. Also, I see Kalis.
Oh gosh, we got a bunch of people.
I see Anti-Derivative Jill. Hello, Anti-Derivative Jill. Great job on her show yesterday. Can't recommend it enough. Tuesdays and Fridays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard, I believe.
Yep. All right. So I'm gonna
Central.
Yep, I'm going to go welcome people into the chat. Give me a second here. Man, we just had this big flurry of people come in. You are a draw, my friend. You are a draw.
Everybody watch where the fire exit is, because if something happens, you don't want to get confused on the way out, okay? It's not our responsibility.
Remember, we had that awesome alert we had today, those in the US. Everybody got that alert.
Oh yeah, everybody got it?
Everybody, I got it.
Did you get it in Espanol first?
No, I got it. I was what was I doing? I was listening to something, and next thing I know, I had my phone off on buzzer, and I'm like, my phone was buzzing, and next thing you know, I'm hearing in my office,
yeah, everybody's phone went off at once where I was too.
At various and sundry times. That was weird. That was freaky.
I was just like, the aliens have arrived.
Yeah.
Leave now.
Yep. Jill says, I didn't read the alert. I was driving. Well, you probably heard the irritating yowl or felt the buzz because it was all over the place, but that was kind of weird. All right. Let me welcome everybody here before we get started. We've got Captain Infinity. We've got Dadman Walking. Hello, Dadman Walking. We've got the Hungry Boy. Hey, Hungry Boy. We got John Sapola. We've got Carla
Hello,
Burton.
John Samoa. Hello, Carla.
We got Carla Burton, and I'm sure we will get some other chatters. Ow. Ooh.
These are my people. Hello, everybody. It's so
Yes,
great to
yes.
be here.
Oh, I did say hungry boy. I did say hungry boy. Yes, I
A
did.
guest on my show many times, as has been Jill, as hopefully they will both be again.
Mhm.
I've been blessed to have the best of the Star Trek community help me out, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been a
Yep.
crazy 54 weeks since I started doing this hobby.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll go more into how long I've been doing it. Okay, and now my amazing wrenchers, the people that keeps this community safe, keeps people from going bananas, and the best darn wrenches in the pod. We've got the aforementioned anti-derivative Jill as one of my wrenches. We've got Fet for Hire, who did a drive-by and also did the great background. Did the great background. We've got the first in, the last out, Legatus Legionary. And I know he's going to bring his A game with questions tonight. So look out. And we also have the one, the only, the hardest working bear on the internet. Florida Pupas! Cuba. Dot scream. I like that. Dot scream. Let's get this show going. Let's see. And last but definitely not least, my better half, Sandra, who is doing the producing tonight and doing SmackDowns if necessary. So we shall get going. What we do.
So she's got a folding chair in her hand, ready to go.
And she knows how to use it too. Snort says, actually, I was napping with an audiobook playing. My player buzzed a little, but I had the volume low. All right.
Oh, when the alert went off?
I
was getting lunch. So there was 25 people in the small place, and everyone's looking at their phone, and it came through in Spanish first, and I'm like, so we've been invaded by Spain. You know, I'm like, all right. I welcome our new Spanish overlords. then I started to wonder because the Spanish people seemed confused by it, and I was like, could it be Esperanto? I, for one, welcome our new United Nations overlords. I had no clue. I just then it came through in English, and I skipped to the bottom. It's like no public action need happen. So whatever else it said, I have no idea. I have no interest in what the government wants to tell me.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. How we're going to do this is I've got a few questions to break the ice, and we will do the ask questions, and who knows what rabbit holes this will go into. And then we will go into then we'll let the questions out from the chat. So this is going to be fun. But guys, you're supposed to wait for this. Legatus, you know better than this. You know better than this. So, all right. So let's begin.
Let us begin.
Yes. So, Admiral Teag, please tell us. I'm going to combine these two because they usually end up when I ask one question, it usually merges into the second one. So tell us about yourself outside of your channel as much as you can, and what made you want to create your channel.
I'm from Jamaica, Queens, home of Run DMC, 50 Cent, LL Cool J, and a certain ex-president. I am now in Western Queens. I have a great view of New York City. Some of you have seen on my Twitter account. I'm Latino, but kind of the Emilio Estevez variety, shall we say? or the Cameron Diaz variety, if you want to put it another way, as far as complexion. But I am in fact Cuban.
Okay.
My grandfather fought in World War One. World War Two. My grandfather fought in both. He was very long life. No, he fought in World War Two, and my father fought in Vietnam. That kind of messed him up. I ended up being adopted, and I was raised by a New York City detective and his wife. So I had an interesting life before I was really old enough to speak. And definitely, I would say this: as much as I enjoyed Star Trek as a kid, Star Wars very much spoke to me when I saw that movie and I realized Luke was adopted.
Okay. Hello, Pudgy Hedgehog. How are you? And ancestral. We are neighbors. I am Puerto Rican.
Oh, hey, you know what? What's going on, man?
Yeah. In fact, my favorite musical is the original West Side Story. My mom actually hated it, but I loved it, and I still love it today.
Well, as a true Cuban, I consider myself Spanish more than any kind of a person of the Americas. So my favorite is actually Man of La Mancha. Boy, okay. Do I love Man of La Mancha? And quick story ties into being Cuban. Strangest thing, I saw Man of La Mancha on Broadway with Brian Stokes Mitchell. Currently does it. He's a great singer, by the way, and a great citizen of New York. Really went out of his way to entertain people during the Broadway shutdown at his own expense. Was an inspiration to a lot of people. Very, very nice person. But that hadn't happened yet when I saw the play. He's still doing it, but he's the greatest Man of La Mancha I can imagine. I've heard a few. Richard Kiley is probably the second best and the originator. But Dulcinea was played by Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio when I saw it. And I was just like, oh my God, it's Gina from Scarface. And there she is, singing the Dulcinea song. And I'm like, all I can see here in my head is, do you want to F me, Tony? That was peachy enough, right?
Yeah, that was peachy enough.
Yeah. I couldn't get out of my head that she was Tony's sister from Scarface. I was just like, the whole time I'm looking at her, I'm just like, oh my God, it's Gina. Oh my God, it's Gina. I still enjoyed the play. By the way, she can sing.
Oh, great. All right. And okay, so what made you decide to create your channel?
I have a penchant for lost causes.
Don't we all, my friend? Don't we all?
You know what? When I looked back in the final analysis of how life was when I wanted to get myself a hobby and do something fun and constructive and artistic, I had been writing and reviewing stuff about Star Trek in my blog for a few years. And the cost of YouTube just came down to the point where, why would I want to go through the problems I have on WordPress, right? Get beat on by the people who read my articles. Probably beat up on Bounding Into Comics because people were just like, oh my God, it's something other than the 3 corporate views. And I was getting great views. I had a 10,000 view month a couple of times. And then I'm like, I had been listening to Doomcock, I had been listening to Quabi, and I've been listening to EFAP and The Critical Drinker. And I was like, there's more to this. There's a more interactive way, because it's like getting, say, 12 comments on an article, and that was like the most fun I was having, was the interaction and answering the questions and having people give me their take on what I had said. And also the 12 hours to edit 4,000 words when you're dyslexic and you edit yourself. It was taking me about 10, 12 hours to do an episode of Loki. And if people have heard my show, they know I can be a little pedantic and detail oriented when it comes to my Star Trek and show analysis. And I consider myself a demanding reviewer, and I try to be an objective reviewer. I didn't think there was voice enough of that out there, and I wanted to get out there and do it. And also, I wanted to indulge my Star Trek feelings and my Star Trek beliefs and the things that I heard from other fans that were interesting. The kind of Star Trek conversations we used to have that we would call arguments in like the least pejorative sense of the word. not about someone's gender or whether or not this or that person belongs on the Enterprise or whether this or that religion endures. But do you think that Warp 9 is Warp 9 in TNG like it is in TOS? And then some people will say yes, and others will say no. And then people will point to the books, and others will say the books don't count. And that's the kind of debate that I used to love. It was consequence free. And since I've been doing the show, it's been validated over and over, because when I talk to people and I ask them, what's your favorite memory of Star Trek? How do you remember this? What's your first memory? Most people say I watched it with my dad or I watched it with my family.
Well, yeah, well, I'm not to date myself. I know I've dated myself before, but I saw Star Trek with the I saw Star Trek when it was first run. Yes, I'm old. And the various and sundry role plays, and definitely got my love of Star Trek and other science fiction when I was a little nerdy kid. So.
Yeah, I've loved Star Trek ever since I saw it in first grade when I saw the debut of the third season of Enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kidding. I was born in 1653. That's why later tonight I'll be on top of the Silver Cup Studios building, which is not too far from where I live, and I'll have my Claymore and any other Highlanders who wish to fight me for the prize. Any other immortals? Let's remember there could be only one.
Yeah, Sandra did the same thing as I did. I saw Star Trek first run on a black and white TV with my parents. I think I might have seen it with my mom. My dad detested the show. And
I'm syndication generation. So when I would come home, Star Trek hadn't been off the air for that long, but by the time I'm old enough to know what's going on, say first grade, I'm able to come home from school and watch Batman, followed by 66, followed by Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was actually first was the Munsters, right? So imagine that 2 hours of TV.
Yeah.
And at the end of that, I was just like, this was my world,
Mm-hmm.
I actually believe that what I saw on TV as far as our space program was probably more or less something along the lines of what went on Star Trek.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was just something I watched with my family. And I think my favorite thing was waking up early on Saturdays to watch a show called Star Trek that was animated, that you now all know as the animated series.
Yes.
When we watched it the first time, Raymond, what was it called?
Star Trek the animated series.
No, it was just called Star Trek. There was no appellation.
I'm trying to remember. Like I said, I'm old.
Oh, you have to try some of these great neurostimulators that I've gotten from playing Mass Effects. I'm sorry, I should play Mass Effects. I've been playing Starfield. That game is decidedly mid. I might just give up on that one.
So yes, definitely. I mean, hello, Phantom Outsider. That was the great time you had Star Trek, you had Lost in Space, you had all the Jerry Anderson shows, you had Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, which was my second favorite of that time. I mean, just almost made me want to join the Navy. Almost wanted me to join the Navy.
That had started to fall out of syndication by the time I was old enough to really watch it. I only caught, say, a season worth of it when I was old enough to appreciate what I was watching. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there was times I was put in front of a television and it was turned on and I saw the show. So I'm only just so familiar with it. It was, to my memory, a good show with, some Star Trekkiness to it, but it wasn't all the way there. It was still fun, but it wasn't there yet. The most amazing show I think I've ever seen was, going home as a kid, Batman was great and all, but then Star Trek would come on, and I don't know if there's ever been a show that had an opening segment better than Star Trek, the original series.
Oh, I agree.
They knew how to hook you in.
I definitely agree. Hello, Kirk 130. Hello there. Another one that I used to watch is the Time Tunnel. That one was a good one.
I don't remember the Time Tunnel. Is that American?
Yeah. It was made by Irwin Allen.
Unfamiliar, but I guess I'm a little bit younger. Okay. I'm old enough to have deeply appreciated the Wonder Woman TV show and Charlie's Angels. I really appreciated Wonder Woman.
As all us toxic teenagers did at that time.
It's like some guy who's an evil guy who works for the World War II bad guys attacks and shoots at her, and then Wonder Woman like grabs him and subdues him. I'm like, evil's not so bad. I mean, you got to get thrown around by Wonder Woman. That must have been kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like she had him in that headlock from behind. I'm sure he kind of enjoyed that.
So true. All right, let's go on here. So love of Star Trek was helped create your channel. What?
Yeah.
How long have you been doing your channel? Your particular channel?
This is week 55, starting on Sunday.
Oh, so just under a year.
No, just over, about 2 weeks over. 1 year started just about the middle of September, because the first thing I ever did was I went live with my gaming headset to call out the Rings of Power. And what happened was I went on live while the show was on, and I did it like a football game. Like I called it like a sporting event, and I'm like, all right, we've got our elf of color here. They just called him Knife Ears, but they slurred the pronunciation to make it sound like something else. He's got his hand on his knife, but I don't think Don Lemonless here is too dangerous. And I got okay numbers right away. And when I looked down, there was a lot more people than I expected listening just right off the bat, because no one else was talking about it yet. Most people wait for a show to be over to assess it, but I immediately scoffed when these creators that I hated from Star Trek Discovery, as creators, not as people, said that they had improved Tolkien. I took that as nonsense and a lie. I called Amazon and I told them that I would not pay for Prime TV that month, and I think that everyone should call Amazon and refuse to pay for Prime TV the months that Amazon Rings of Power are on. And you should cite the the creators of the Rings of Power for making hurtful anti-fan statements that are hateful. I have said to them, I was told in the Washington Post, which you own, that Patrick McKay, J.D. Payne, and Lindsay Beers, who wrote Star Trek Discovery, said that people who read the books are problematic and that they're istophobic, and that's why they don't like the show. And they said, really? And I said, yes. Here's the problem. I bought the books from you too. I said, I suggest that these people be fired. And they said, well, we don't know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, if the driver said that to me, I'd have his job. You'd have his head in a bucket of ice on my desk. How about this then? I think that my Amazon's broken, and I don't think I should have to pay for it because it's an insult. It's an insult. And they refunded my Amazon for the 2 months that it was on.
Nice.
You know what? I was into it with them over another product, and they left me on hold too long. I got a little annoyed because I was like skimming the news, and it was like, you know, that thing on the side of your phone, that bar of information you should never ever look at that tells you things about politics and gossip. I saw it on that part of my phone while I was waiting, and it's like, they said it again, and I'm like, you know what? Forget about these pants. I want to talk about something else. They did not know what to do with it.
That's why this is a no politics zone. That's
Did I go there? I didn't go there too much.
No.
I don't know if it's political to say that they failed to give us a good Lord of the Rings.
Oh, I agree. Well, I haven't seen it either, even though I do have Amazon. I've been just too busy to. I'll watch YouTube. And I have never been really into the Tolkien thing.
I had read enough Tolkien and been familiar with enough Tolkien, not to say I'm a scholar, to be outright shocked and stunned by what I saw in their commercials, right? So I knew something terrible was coming. And I was also like, I've been down that road, like 3 seasons with those idiot writers, the trio of writers I named. I knew they couldn't do anything. And, when people made claims that Picard season 3 was better, I would just say, look at the Rings of Power that has the problems your show had for so many years. And there they are. Those were your writers. The only reason this show's better is because your primary writers moved on because the richest guy in the world isn't necessarily as smart as he is wealthy.
Yep.
That's a good point.
Yep. All right.
What kind of hound?
He is an Amstaff. Cousin to a
I don't know. Oh, okay. I know what those are. Cool.
Yeah. Yep. He is and he is loud as well as Snortopoopas can say hail to the Snoop. All
Hail,
right.
Snorty.
And
It's
hello.
So nice to see all of you here. Rocco, hi.
Hey, Rocco. This is the first time he's been here. Hello, Rocco the Brave.
Rocco
And
the
Scott,
Brave is. Go ahead.
And Scotty R37. Hello. And Alec 451. Oh, we got one. Hail to the Dalek. All right. So next question.
Rocco the Brave, I know through a friend of mine, Appion, who's great. Appion, if you don't mind, I'll drop his link in the chat. Helped me out with Strange New Worlds, and he does gaming, but also he has a really good pop culture show too, and is a really good reviewer. And so is Rocco the Brave. They're great guys, and they've been friends of my show as I am of theirs. Hail Rocco the Brave, and there's Appion's link there on YouTube. Okay. Yeah, sorry. Oops. Yeah, I put it right into the chat. You're welcome, Rocco. It's always nice to see you, sir. How did you like that ending to Ahsoka?
Well, I've seen the other. I've seen some of the trailers. I'm not sure what the.
I want to ask the host a question. You ready?
Sure.
Did you ever think when we were kids, right? When we were young, remember when you were young, you shined like the sun? Did you ever think, like, say around 1983, 83, walking out of like Jedi or something like that, Return of the Jedi, if I walked up to you and said, I'm from the future, I have the sum knowledge of all mankind in my pocket. You can ask me one question about anything, but first I want to tell you something. Where I'm from, there's too much Star Wars and Star Trek, and people actually don't want anymore. It's a literal embarrassment of riches. You'd be like, this guy is not from the future. He's from some alternate, like, bizarro world. How could Star Wars
exactly?
And Star Trek? Yeah, you'd be like, how could this ever happen? And both of them become absolute garbage in the exact same way. It's terrible.
Exactly. All right. Hail, Stark of Iron.
Hey, Tony. Tony is co-host Hour 1 on Sundays of my show, and we've been doing it for 2 weeks now, and he's been great. I've been enjoying it. It really gets Hour 1 off to a great start.
Okay. Let's see. All right. Hello, Tony. How are you? Okay, so pretty much you told us about the channel. You've talked about the subjects you talk about the channel.
Yeah.
Are there things you absolutely put what are your two taboo subjects that you talk about or that you will not?
Okay, well, here's one thing I won't talk about on the channel is if other YouTubers, in my opinion, are doing something that I find to be unworthy or unseemly. While I might talk about something, an idea they've injected into the main, or while I may talk about an idea or a theory they have, if I'm talking negatively of another YouTuber, I won't name them. I won't name someone negatively. I feel that that's I feel that we're a community. I feel that we have to evolve. I feel that personal attacks are beneath all of us. And I feel that if I'm going to talk about someone in a praiseworthy way, then it's fine to name them. Or, for instance, if I was to use something that was the intellectual property of someone else, like say sometimes unwittingly, I will say 735 Club. That's really not mine to use. You know what I mean? So at that point, I will say Clobbering Times is a great show that I enjoy. And I'll make sure to put their link in my chat because I've accidentally, because it's become ingrained in my head, sort of appropriated this idea. So on my show, I use the term 6605 continuity, which would bring me to another thing I feel strongly about. The Cage is not Star Trek. It's made in 1964, so it's outside of the continuity.
Good point. Good point. That's a very good point.
Anyone saying The Cage is good is saying they would have preferred to pass on William Shatner and DeForest Kelley. Not only is The Cage not Star Trek, my friend, it is the seeds of the worst anti-Star Trek we've ever seen. And that episode of Star Trek, I don't think ever should have aired. And if you remember this, it aired under controversial circumstances called Star Trek, didn't it? There's like 3 asterisks on that being an episode. So why should I accept that? It's garbage.
Right.
The Cage was a very good proof of concept. It was not a fleshed out story to be told to the people of America or the world. It was a 1 hour long immersive Star Trek journey, not even a story, a journey through an idea, a hypothetical, if you would. And it was one long filmed pitch. The pitch was good enough. Proof of concept. You and I know this term. You want to tell people what that means? You want to unfold that for us?
Yeah, it was a proof of concept.
No, I mean, the people might not understand what we mean when we say that. Like they're like, huh, like a pre-pilot? Like a proof of concept is something they used to do before they would make a movie. Like they made 3 for the original Planet of the Apes. And the first one, the apes are walking around in leisure suits. It's weird.
Yeah.
They had to refine their vision of the apes, but so Star Trek, The Cage was proof of concept, and it was episode length, done in the episode. And I don't know when they insert the Star Trek theme or anything else like that. I have to rewatch the beginning of it. Not that I enjoyed it, but I found that The Cage itself, while a great pitch to show your corporate backers, and for instance, they do things we never see again, like. Even though it's essentially the same transporter, we beam one person up, show the whole thing, then beam another person up and show the whole thing. Because it's kind of about the fact, like, wow, look what they could do with this amazing matter transport. So, there's a lot more showing these executives the potential of the show than emphasis on story. I think we know from different accounts that Roddenberry had moved on in his heart from a show with Jeffrey Hunter. There wasn't maximum effort put into making this something that was supposed to air. It got exactly what he wanted. He got his first down. He was in the red zone. They're like, you've got an idea written, put to paper, and it's almost there. We don't like this, this, and this. And to Gene Roddenberry's credit, a collaborative writer said, you're probably right. I think I need to change this, this, and this. And about that leading man, I don't know. Might want to negotiate on that one. Oh, you know what? You won me over. He knew how to play the game. He had been around Hollywood long enough by that point. And when Gene Roddenberry got Star Trek for a while there, we got some really great stuff. And even when he becomes a little less involved at the end, the drop off in quality, I mean, the new Trek people still haven't touched his worst episode. Maybe they've touched Turnabout Intruder. I haven't thought that deeply on it, but I don't think they have.
Take care, Scotty R37. Have a good night. No. And I find it interesting. I have the 50th anniversary box set, DVD box set. DVD box set. The Cage is not in there. If I remember right, the Cage is not in there.
You know what? I would have to say, honestly, it is okay. It is not the worst, but it has a bunch of Trek stuff missing. There's a lack of episodic quality to it. Even though it's 1 hour long. Gene Roddenberry was among the group of people who said this is not quite good enough for regular TV. And when he showed parts of it, and he cut out the things that were terrible. And there are moments of terrible in the cage. There are. When we see some of the other cages in the menagerie.
Yeah.
Remember the slow motion parrot man? You know, like not every single moment was great. And he got what he wanted. Hey, Lenrod.
Hey, Lenrod.
And then we get a much better first episode of Star Trek. I won't say pilot because we know it's not, but who wasn't hooked in from the moment we saw the episode with the salt vampire?
That's true.
It was a great episode, and a better first episode for us to see than the one that would have been the pilot. Even though I do like Where No Man Has Gone Before.
Yeah. Oh, I love that episode. Okay.
Really good.
All right. And so how often do you stream? And I'm going to put your channel out there as you tell us.
I'm kind of regimented about this. I believe that there should be some time for me to be away from social media, some time for me to enjoy what my friends on social media say. And I try to have confine my streaming to certain days so that I don't do it too much or I'll get a little crazy. So
what you mean?
It's, I guess, Thursday's live watch 1923 Yellowstone has been really successful for me. And I got to thank Ranker Steve for suggesting that one. It was a great idea that has worked out really well for me. And I was worried to do it on a Star Trek channel. I had some trepidation, to be honest with you. But when I set about, shall we call it my new enterprise of showing a show that wasn't science fiction, the community of Admiral Teag started to respond and to even grow from it. And we've had some of the best best streams live watching Yellowstone. And with 2/3 of the people watching after and a decent retention time on that, I have to imagine people are enjoying the recaps and to some degree the descriptive reviews and historical analysis that I do, because basically I do give you a free TV show, but I talk through it. I give you something that I used to have, and you might remember the director's commentary or the special commentary in uploaded media. We don't have cases. We don't get a free poster. You don't get a T-shirt. You can't send away for something. You don't get anything. But we used to get great stuff. I have a Fellowship of the Ring T-shirt I got when that DVD was first released, and things like that. And I had other great stuff, Now we just get a download. And although the price has adjusted somewhat in our favor, it's starting to creep up again. We used to get DVDs for less than some of these downloads. And, like, for instance, the X-Files. Both X-Files movies I owned on DVD. They had cool posters inside of them. You know what I mean? One was two-sided, had Mulder on one side and Scully on the other, right? But if you turned on a certain track, it was like, hi, this is Chris Carter. Let me explain to you why this is going on. And it was like, okay, wow. And it's like the smoking man actually represents this. And it's like answers, you know what I mean? In context. And we don't get that anymore. What we get is a very insulting 77 Easter eggs that mean this show is great and you are dumb.
Exactly.
That's repaced director's commentary. So when I watch Yellowstone, what I do is the last episode of any show I watch live with the audience, right? But usually what I do is I watch it right before we watch it together. And usually I'll put on I Love Lucy or The Twilight Zone on my channel in the theater so that people have something to do before they show up there. Yeah, because I have the Paramount package. But why not? People love I Love Lucy. You can't go wrong with it.
True.
I have a certain affinity for Cuban musicians from New York, shall I say?
Nice plug there, Teag.
Yeah,
nice plug.
Yeah. I'm good at self-filleting. That's allowed too, right? Okay.
Shameless self-promotion is always accepted here.
I appreciate that.
TheDolphinWars.com, people. TheDolphinWars.com.
Now, does this presume that the dolphins played the role of monkeys in a world? That they were the progenitors of higher forms of life?
Yeah.
That was.
I'm trying not to spoil it. You got to read the book.
Oh, okay.
Got to read the books. Got to read the books. But yes, dolphins are heavily involved.
I'm going to be getting a copy.
Awesome. Oh, and thedolphinwars.com. There's your subliminal.
People read the Dolphin Wars. No spoilers in this stream. A compelling tale about things where there are events.
Yes. All right.
And I tell you that much.
I've put your channel out there so that people can see it.
Anybody who wants to subscribe and join with me, I'm approaching 300. I'm about 10 or 12 away. And when I hit 300, I'm going to upload a song. I'm at like 288 or 292, somewhere in there.
Yeah, you're just 2 ahead of me. I'm at 286.
I believe that 2 of those accounts are probably fake. I have 2 accounts that join and quit and join and quit and join and quit. They're private accounts. Like I can't swat them or ban them. But I disregard those accounts. I disregard my number by 2.
Yeah.
But thank you for the activity of constantly rejoining my channel, because it certainly really helps. So quitting and joining, or hang around and I'll figure out who you are. And then chop.
So, yeah. That was Carla said, I saw Fet's unboxing. It was so funny. Yeah, that was an awesome unboxing.
What did Fet get?
He got Blood Feud. Dolphin Wars Blood Feud. So he did an unboxing.
When I get mine, I will, in fact, unbox it. Did you see the unboxing I did with Sean Carter's amazing gift that I'm looking at right now?
Oh, no. And I'm going to tell you, I knew it before you did.
Oh, my gosh.
He told me about it. He told me about it just before our show. Yes, I'm saying it, Sean, because he does have it, so I could say it.
I'm looking at this, and it's the most beautiful starship I've ever looked at. I think the battle damage is in itself an art. It was so well crafted. The battle damage looks real, and he didn't make it the exact Wrath of Khan scar. It's got its own uniqueness, and people are like, oh, it's over damaged. And my answer to them is, we don't see what it looks like midway through the episode after it's tangled with the Doomsday Machine 4 more times. Trust me, it gets to this point.
Yeah, it does. We don't see the angles that he showed, but those were great.
Great. I what I'm most grateful of is that somewhere along the line, an Enterprise model got botched and became this Constellation model. And I got to be honest, I've been to the Comic-Con here in New York, and I guess New York Comic-Con is a different price than, say, Orlando Comic-Con or San Antonio Comic-Con or Sheboygan, wherever you might be. In New York, they're going to charge you more for your table, and so you're going to get charged more for the merchandise. That's just how it goes. Costs get passed along. I don't resent that at all, but I will say this. On day one of the con, I believe that this Enterprise could not be bought for $500. The guy would still be hesitant. Even if you had bro, I got the Jacksons in my hand. It's not even a credit card transaction. You could pretend this never happened. This is cash money. He'd be like, I think I need $650 because I was going to put 7, and then he would be standing there with the 7 to 12. I mean, this is 7 to 12. Negotiate your way down to another. You know what I mean? And don't part with it for less than 5 model. And I'm flattered to have it. And he was very exacting and imaginative. When I turn it on, there's some pulsing, erratic lights for the sections that we see in the special edition. Because what he did was he reverse engineered this from the CGI model we see in the special edition. So it looks more like what we see in the special edition than the model from the show. So it's doing the things that the CGI model does. And my thought is, has anyone else ever deconstructed a CGI model backwards down into a real model? Sean might be the first. I might have the first one.
Yeah.
I have a signed Sean Carter. That's what I have to say.
Yep. All right. We're going to now start letting the chat at you. I am starting to go back.
Hello, friends.
Yes, time for the chat. I'm going to start.
Forgive me for not keeping up with the greetings. And Legacious, if it was not for Desilu Products, Lucille Ball, there would have been no Star Trek. Yeah, or even worse, they might have pitched it to someone else who was like, yeah, this is perfect as is, go for it, because they needed to hit it one more time. In my heart, look at the show they've made from the cage, and you tell me that was Star Trek. Maybe that wasn't there yet.
Sure. All right. First question from our first in, last out, Legatus Legion Eye. He says, question.
Hello.
The original or the remastered? There is something about seeing the original effects and enjoying them for when they were made versus the updated special effects.
Legatus,
I'm going to
be honest. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No,
you go ahead and answer. Oh,
okay.
I'm gonna take the coward's way out, Legatus. I'm glad there are two different versions. I enjoy both. I do not think that we should be afraid to make a new version so long as it is properly labeled. And I do believe that once you alter any original, there should be an introduction by someone neutral, a historian perhaps, who says, hello, I'm from the National Archives of Film, or I'm from, the Library of Congress. And this originally aired in this form, and here's where you can find it. It was changed in these following ways, but please enjoy from 1967, Star Trek, The Man Trap. You know what I mean? Something like that. And then, you see, with updates from 2013 or whatever they might be. Present it like that so that people know, and we can go back and we can see the beautiful work that went into these models that made it so real for you and I. We didn't question its reality.
Yeah.
I didn't. Did you?
No. And in fact, I am glad that the 50th anniversary set has the option to toggle between the two. But I do gotta say, the remastered stuff really has sold me. I mean, just the beauty of what
it's episode to episode.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. The worst one in your opinion.
The worst one remastered was Mirror Mirror. And the reason I say that, because I've got to watch again, because I know I saw it back in the day. Anybody who has seen Mirror in the Mirror, the remastered version, please feel free to say bananas. But I saw like right in the middle of the Mirror a shot of the opening scream of the Enterprise. Just totally random. You see the Enterprise going zoom. And I'm like, what the heck was that? That was not in the original version of it. And
they may have inserted something, huh? That to me would be a shame, right? Because what they should be doing is taking what we have and improving it, not adding anything at all.
Yeah, they were. I think they did it as a filler. And like I said, I know my chat is amazing in finding things like this. Please prove me wrong. I would appreciate it.
I'll just quickly blurt out. Most improved by special edition, the Doomsday Machine, honestly.
Oh, yes.
That strafing run on the Doomsday Machine by the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. One of the most amazing things we've seen. Hey, hello, Pudgy. Then, most hurt by the special edition, there was a lot of bad choices made in Devil in the Dark.
I hadn't seen the remastered of Devil in the Dark.
We lose a matte painting for something different. If I remember correctly. We do a terrible job with the Horta here and there when it's supposed to be moving. And Hungry's on Saving Star Trek a lot. He's allowed to call me a Cubano. You crazy Austrian? I happen to know that as an Australian, he's descended from both sides. So don't.
Cuban, are you a cigar or a sandwich?
I am a sandwich that's also a cigar. I'm a cigar-shaped sandwich. Take it, effects. Hollywood could swipe that life story synopsis. You know what? kind of always do. A lot of our heroes seem to be adopted. Luke Skywalker, Bilbo, and Frodo. This is King Arthur. It is something that has fascinated humanity for ages. The ego involved in being an adopted father, to which I might say there might be no greater love than that of an adopted father who is a successful one. And I was so lucky to have a father like that. And perhaps that's one of the things that bothers me about New Trek. Everyone's a terrible father.
Lost Causes, talking to the Prog Rock Choir, pun fully intended.
Okay. Don Quixote is worth a read. Yeah, it is.
Yes, for getting the Rocinante. Okay, let's see. Keep going.
I would say it's worth a read in the sense also it's a pretty darn good story and an amazing execution of the story within a story. And if I remember correctly, it's a story within a story within a story in Man of La Mancha as it's presented. We have the real life guy who is telling his story to the people in the dungeon, who then demand that he get into character and tell them another story. So we have his real circumstances, the way he describes them to the people around him, and then what was supposed to be, I guess, an impromptu play put on by the prisoners. And of course, I won't spoil the end of the play, but see Man of La Mancha.
Okay.
Or listen to the cast album. It's great. You'll be inspired.
Phantom Outsider says it was just Star Trek. Yeah, now that you guys mention it, I told you I'm old. I forget things. It was just Star Trek, but it was a cartoon. They didn't do an animated series until Batman, the animated series. True.
And I believe it was considered canon for a long time. I just don't quote me on that one. This is why we have the Google.
Unfortunately, I've got it. I've got the Star Trek Encyclopedia.
Which one?
Both versions. The original big book. The original
Alan Asherman?
book. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. The soft cover, and then the 2-volume set, which I think is awesome, except for the fact that the print is too freaking small for an old guy's eyes.
Not to mention this, between you and I, is it just me or is Mr. Asherman also dyslexic as I am? Because boy, his usage, grammar, sentence, and functionality can sometimes just absolutely fall apart in that Star Trek compendium.
No. This is the encyclopedia from Okuda. Both versions of Okuda's encyclopedia.
Oh, I have the Star Trek compendium by Alan Asherman, and though it's good,
I don't have that one.
It's pretty good, but he could sometimes just his usage are terrible. See, Jill says yes. Warp is a little faster in TNG for another reason, and thanks to Voyager, things get even sillier. Yes, we have canonical problems with Voyager. Here's the thing. While I'm with Jill that I think it probably is faster, there are people who have elicited and scolded me with a strict interpretation of Star Trek that the books don't count because Gene said the books don't count, right?
Yeah,
and that if we don't hear it on screen, it doesn't happen. So that means,
and I think he's wrong. I think he's wrong. I
disagree with that too.
I think that because it was maybe not so much the books. But I really think he went and made one episode of the animated series canon, which is when Spock went back into time. I think every episode of the animated series should have been canon. And I disagree with Gene on that.
I'm going to have to relook at those, and I look forward to doing it. I've been doing a lot of other stuff, and I've been preserving that view. And in a world where I thought but you know what, honestly, when we were born, when I came of age, I thought that by now we would have a domed, air-conditioned planet with wonderful grass growing like the planet that we almost get rid of Wesley on, that idealistic planet when those people are very attractive and naked and they act like 7. They're like, remove your clothes, begin coitus now. You're like, I liked that planet. I thought we'd be there by now. I thought we'd have an air-conditioned planet where there would be great Star Trek available all the time. And we see what we got. So I've been preserving stuff like I'm not the hugest Deep Space Nine fan, but now deprived of real Star Trek for years and years, now that I've watched my way through pretty much 90% of Voyager, yeah, I'm going to savor those episodes of DS9 that will bring me up to the pretty much end of my untapped resources of Star Trek, because DS9 was a show that I turned off a lot. I apologize. I know a lot of people love it.
I did. I loved it. And I'm sorry, Raquel. I will still like a lot of the episodes of Deep Space Nine, because they are.
Yes,
I am.
See,
I am a
you're doing what I'm
very
doing.
character development. Voyager had its ups and downs. I watched Voyager because it was Star Trek, but all I can think about now is the theme song of Gilligan's Island into my background. A 3-hour tour, a 3-hour tour, a 7-year tour, a 7-year tour. Hungry Boy says, I've seen so many JAG and NCIS apps. I'm glad Raymond did not join the Navy. And then Sandra comes back and says, true. I often say it's amazing that there's anyone still in the Navy with as many people who were expired.
Well, my nephew Michael Andrew is proudly serving in the United States Navy, and I'm very proud of him.
Yeah, I went into the Air Force.
Oh, cool. Well, like I said, my father was my biological father was a Vietnam soldier, U.S. Army, combat engineers. Space 1999, Buck Rogers, and Battlestar
Galactica. Yep.
Am I supposed to rate those? Am I supposed to say you've got them in reverse order of how much I enjoyed them? I would say I enjoyed the BSG the most. I would say Buck Rogers was a second, but like
distant second,
not too distant, but yeah, there was like a distant. And then Space 1999 was the show that when I was really young, I liked it a lot because I thought it was just more Star Trek. I didn't really make the connection. And then, like, as I was old enough to sort of understand it, a little older, say 8 or 9, I was like, sometimes this show doesn't make sense.
It didn't make sense from the get-go.
If we try to trace the events that happened in the pilot, they do not make sense. And I tried to have the most forgiving outlook you can on it. There's a magnetic storm that Commander Koenig goes to the moon that he's going to get to the bottom of that makes people insane. And we see them go insane, but then the moon blows up and the sickness goes away and they have another problem. And the moon, for some reason, doesn't blow right into the earth. It blows into space, even though it blows up on the side that faces away from the Moonfall was a little better.
Head hurt.
So,
head hurt.
Yeah.
Head pain.
Yeah, not exactly UFO. I was always okay with mom and dad being like, it's time to go to mass. I'm like, fine, I don't need to see the end of this one.
Yeah, I love UFO.
I love UFO. I would have thought. I liked UFO. And I got to thank Clobbering Times. And here's why I name another show. I thank Clobbering Times for making that more available to me, because the last time I'd seen UFO was I was in college. It was on early Sci-Fi Channel, and I watched like a 2-day marathon and watched them all. I was like, this show's too much. And it's just like cracking up sometimes ironically and sometimes seriously, because we get a good mix of both in UFO. Sometimes it's really great. And then there's a couple of times where their reach exceeds their grab, and you're like, okay.
Yeah. They needed to mellow out Straker a bit, would be my thought.
I had a Straker Matrix. You ready? A UFO Matrix. You ready? This is what made it a good show.
Okay.
Does Straker drive his cool brown car?
Yes.
If he does, that's right there. 1, right? 2, does Straker smoke a tiny cigarette?
Yes.
If he does, that's another check mark right there, right? Now, there's 4. 3 would be, does Straker offer someone a drink from the electronic bar that he has in his office,
but does not take one of his own?
Right. Now he's like ahead of his time. I think he has like smart drinks. He's like, I'm drinking accelerated vitamin A or something. Like he has some kind of like brainy drinks that don't have alcohol in them or something.
Yeah.
I believe Straker drinks like once. He might drink once. I think when someone dies at the end of the episode, he's like, I think I'll have one too, but I don't quote me. But I watched them all in the course of like a weekend. I think we were able to run the series twice, so I saw most of them, and I was just like started realizing that a lot of these people, like some of their pilots and stuff, we see them again in Space 1999. And then, of course, I realized that the greatest sci-fi uniform of all time is the UFO submarine guys. That is hilarious. We always love when they're on the UFO submarine.
I love this. I love Skydiver. Oh my God.
It makes no sense in the world, but I'll take it.
Well, actually, if you you can compare it to, I mean, it's always going to be the Sea View and the Flying Sub. That one's going to always be my favorite. But Skydiver, with the concept of a ship flying out of a submarine, I always thought that was cool. A lot better than the Interceptors, because the Interceptors were one-trick ponies.
Yeah, they didn't even have, say, like rail guns on them. Nobody really put a lot of thought into the Interceptors because they're like, oh, there's no air in space, so ammunition doesn't work. It's like, how about you hook an oxygen tank and blow it across the breech of the gun? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, there's solutions to these problems. You know, I don't know, and that's another thing, I guess, that motivated me. I can enjoy UFO in context, right? And like I said, like a third of them I'm watching ironic, a third of them I'm watching enthralled, and a third I'm somewhere in the middle, right? But as long as and oh, by the way, 4 on the UFO thing is this. Do they either A, deploy the shadow tech, which is always hilarious while they play that great music, or B, do we go to a soundstage where Straker pretends to make a movie? Because I always love when he's pretending to make a movie because he's an actor acting like he's acting like acting. And I'm like, this is 5 levels of immersion for this actor. What a genius. And Clobby had to set me straight. And she's like, we're doing it the way I like to do it is because we're talking of him positively. We'll say his name. Clobby set me straight. You know, I thought Straker had a wig and I always used to joke about Straker's wig. And he's like, you know, Admiral, I think it's funny, but you know, it's not a wig. It's he's got he bleached his hair every day, and I was like, wow. And he's like, you know, he was that committed to the role. I'm like, whoa, that's something. And it was really interesting to know that. And that's when I looked at his hair again. I'm like, it is real hair. Wow, it's just been bleached so many times that it looks like a doll's hair. Yeah, and he had no control because it was destroyed. So he had a lot of flyaways, and it just really, really looks like a wig. Yeah, he must have shaved his head when when that ended. He must be like, "Thank God!" And he's like, went and got like a #1 crew.
I can have my hair back.
What is anti-derivative Jill asking? Hello, anti-derivative Jill in the chat.
She says, like Tolkien. Oh no, I love Tolkien. Second only to Star Trek as far as universes go. I can't speak on it because, like I said, I read The Hobbit and could barely get through book 1 of The Lord of the Rings. I'm like, okay.
How old were
you? 14, 15.
Yeah, I would honestly say and this is true for me as well, right? The 14, 15-year-old of the 1930s when he was thinking, and he's educated in the 1890s or early 1900s, let's not forget, you know, was far more into reading. There was no distractions. There was no TV. And you wanted your books to be really, really rich in detail, and you didn't want your author to reach the point that quickly. And another reason why people might not appreciate Tolkien changed the game as writers go because he wasn't by trade a writer. And if anyone's ever read the letters of J.R.R. Tolkien, there are letters where they're like, you're late. And he's like, don't care. I have a real job. And they're just like, you know, well, this book, people are clamoring for it. Just put it together. And he's like, I need another couple of years to really straighten this out. I've been looking at my world building document in the 90 minutes a day I'll allocate to my hobby. By the way, glad you guys are still making money off The Hobbit. I'll fire off the rest of this book when I get around to it. And then he's just like, yeah, I'm 3/4 done. And then like the next letter's like, I had to throw away that 3/4. I didn't like it. what Tolkien did was, when told to write it in a conventional way for modern audiences, which would still probably be a form that would be more modern to us than the form he uses, which is almost 19th century. You know what? Like, he was like, yeah, I don't care what you say. You can have my book my way, or no book at all. I don't care. I don't care at all. Nothing that you say is going to change the fact. And then, you know, other letters where they're like, you spell dwarves with a V. That's, you know, it's with an F. You know, you can't expect people to do this. And his reply was, I'm editor of the dictionary. I'll tell you how the word dwarf is to be spelled. So J.R.R. Tolkien's stories they don't sync up with the way a Michael Crichton book would. And yeah. Michael Crichton's a great writer because he's from Long Island, but he's a great writer. He's a modern writer who does modern writer kind of things. And I think he was like a lawyer or something. So, you know, all lawyers are pretty much good writers if they're good lawyers. And, you know, a lot of process and countdowns in his movies, but he does them well. Tolkien doesn't care at all. Does not care. They were like, you know, your book is 80% backstory. It's like, that's your book. And they're like, well, you know, could you put a fight in there? It's like, no. No. The only thing I ever saw him react to negatively, and if Jill loves Tolkien, check this one out. Maybe she knows. Glorfindel is a character name that Tolkien replicates by mistake. It's the role taken by Liv Tyler in the movie Fellowship of the Ring. The ride from from Weathertop to Rivendell is done by Glorfindel, not Liv Tyler's character from that movie. Glorfindel dies in the Siege of Gondolin in the Silmarillion, and Tolkien had to sit around for a while because the one letter he didn't read, like most of his letters, he mails back like 2 days later, like, no, go, get lost. This letter was like 3 weeks later. They're like, dear Tolkien, you know, dear John, or whatever, you know, that was his name, right? Dear John. You know, Glorfindel exists in your other book. And he's like, shit. I'm sorry. He was like, damn.
That's okay.
Darn it. You know what? And like the response was like a little bit longer, if I remember correctly, than most of his other responses. And Professor Tolkien, whose job is to be professor, he's like, all right, here's what happened. He does die, and this is not someone else to save name. What happens is, because he died so gallantly, he was resurrected and sent back the way Gandalf was sent back. And in fact, he comes across with Gandalf the first time Gandalf is sent over, when he's still, you know, new to human form.
Okay.
So that was but Tolkien agonized about these things. He was, and think about it, that's the only continuity error he got snagged with in those 4 or 5 books.
Yeah.
Wow. Huh? By hand.
Mm-hmm. Snorter Poopa says, bare opinion, by the time Star Trek Nemesis came out, I think we were starting to suffer from Trek fatigue, and it needed some downtime. Unfortunately, what we got after the hiatus was the film.
Did we get a little more Enterprise, or was that the last thing that came out under the old one? I have a weird take on Nemesis. First of all, Nemesis wasn't too good. There's some good performances in it.
We agree to disagree, because I hated the go-kart theme. I hated it. But
I hated it.
Oh, I hated the go-kart scene.
Problems are starting to show up, and we're starting to find out that like now we're in our 4th movie of, why does this keep ending up being Picard and his friends? Like, why isn't this a movie about Star Trek with like a, you know, like, you know, in even in Wrath of Khan, Star Trek, it's you know, Star Trek used to have some healthy work for every crew member, and some healthy parts, and some healthy character work. You know, Chekhov, you know, Putney Bay, you know, these wonderful moments with our Star Trek friends. And, you know, I guess now that they're broke, New Trek will remember that the stars of Star Trek are Star Trek, but they've run down the old ones and failed to build up new ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nemesis was only okay. I have the controversial belief that you could be forgiven for saying that maybe Star Trek ends in a Nexus, which was something fans said at the time.
You know what? I was at a comic book shop. Okay. I'm glad you said this, because no one believes me or think I'm insane.
We're not the originators of this. This is a real theory.
Yeah. I went to a comic book store, and I was talking to a few people, you know, like comic book geeks do. And this guy just blurts out, you know what? Star Trek is the Nexus. And I said, whoa, that is deep. And now more and more, I'm starting to believe that.
This is what happened to me. Quite honestly, I'm not kidding you here. I walked out of the movie theater with my girlfriend, and we were like in a state of shock. And another person next to me had like Star Trek like T-shirt on or something like that. And like I looked at that guy, he looked at me. You know, both of our girlfriends are completely disinterested. You know how it is, the life of a Star Trek fan. I guess you got lucky, but you know, so I was just like, did they just trap themselves in there forever? He's like, they said they can't get out, but they do. But how can they? And I was like, what the hell was that? And I think that everybody walking out of that movie hated the middle and end with Picard and his crew and the reintroduction of Kirk so much, and the way Captain Kirk is kind of still unceremoniously killed, even in the improved version. And I give them credit for improving it, because these people would never say they were wrong and go back and try to fix it. They said they were wrong and they tried to fix it. That respect is gone. That respect is gone. So I'll give the movie that much. It's a real Star Trek movie. I won't disavow it, but I wonder if the rest of them after that we couldn't call dismissible. You could pick up from where Kirk is on the bridge and says Tuesday, have nothing of importance happen, and show the Enterprise, the new Enterprise sailing back home uneventfully, having rescued the people just fine, and nothing further happens. And then just kind of move on from there with your new show and do it very small. Although a lot of damage has been done, I think we can still save it with one TV movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep, and we've discussed this. Cage isn't canon. The Menagerie is. Let's see. Let's keep going. Oh, and speaking about that, Teague, fixing things with a well done movie. There is a fanfic. There's a fanfic, Star Trek Odyssey, and I recommend it to anybody who loves Star Trek. Cheesy special effects, really horrible CGI, but more Star Trek than obviously the film. In fact, at the last episode that's going to wrap up this series called Star Trek Odyssey, The Road Not Taken, or if I remember right, the Odyssey comes back from an adventure in the Andromeda Galaxy. You got to watch it via a super duper hyper energized wormhole or some such thing. They end up in Romulan space, right next to, and they actually named the sun. They actually named the sun Hobus, and it gives a reason why the sun was going to go supernova. Evidently, the Andromedans were bringing these spatial anomalies that are causing chaos in our galaxy. And one of them was going to cause the sun to supernova. So the Odyssey had a way to get rid of these anomalies. They got rid of the anomaly. So they got rid of the filth. Thank you, Star Trek Odyssey.
You know, thank you, Star Trek Odyssey. And plugins are making it easier for people to make progressively better shows. And I think that we all know this. In 15 years, someone like myself or yourself will be able to take their story and put it into a certain kind of computer. And like 20 hours later, you're going to turn it on and it will have rendered you a movie. Or at least something on the level of like a game like Starfield. You know what I mean? Where you could watch your own story done at least that well. Jill says The Cage is an incredible piece of science fiction dealing with an alien species who's dying out, trying to reach out to repair their damage they wrought on themselves, not realizing it. I agree.
Good point.
But here's the thing. It's not Star Trek or an episode of Star Trek to me. And I would never condemn anybody who wanted to argue to me that this is Star Trek, but they cut out some crucial stuff that improves it in the menagerie, even though I'd say 80% of it makes it in there. The wraparound story with the breach of trust between Spock and Kirk, finding out that he would do this like for Kirk, you know what I mean? Like how deep Vulcan loyalty runs. I thought that was the wraparound story is better than the story of the Cage, even though the Cage is a good story. The wraparound story is better. Could it be because William Shatner's in it? Maybe.
Yeah.
I prefer William Shatner. What can I tell you?
Yep.
I don't think it's Star Trek before William Shatner, and I progressively question whether it's Star Trek in the movies after William Shatner. And I am ready to accept Enterprise. And I would say this. We both saw First Contact, right?
Yeah.
Remember the part where the piece of the Borg ship breaks away and crashes on the polar ice cap?
Yep.
You do?
Yes, I do.
You really do?
Yes, I do.
I thought the Borg ship orbited and fired until it was destroyed, and then we found out that the Borg were on the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Do we see it in the movie? Are you going with Enterprise? I'm going with
Enterprise.
Forget Enterprise. Only in the movie. Do you remember that piece going down?
No, I don't.
Because it's a dream. It's in the Nexus. Because what happens in Enterprise reflects the real battle of First Contact that really happened. Therefore, you can still believe that Star Trek ends with the Nexus. Which, by the way, gets us out of a lot of stuff that we don't want to deal with here. You know what I mean? I like F. Murray Abraham, but F. Murray Abraham in that role.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, I didn't like that movie. I didn't like the Next Generation movies very much. And I found that as they went on, the fans were more and more insistent that, well, this is okay because it's a fever dream. He's in the Nexus. They said you can't escape. And, you know, when I rewatch, and I urge everyone, the clips on YouTube, rewatch it. Whoopi says, between objectionable things about minorities, she works in this little bit of lore. She goes, yeah, you see everything you want here. It'll always show you what you want. What I want is to leave. What I want is to leave. Oh, well, if you want to leave, you'll think you'll leave. Well, that's what I'll do. Well, you'll only think it. No, I won't. How come you haven't left? Oh, I can't leave because you can. Oh, okay. Well, how'd you get here? On a ship? How'd I get here? Well, you can't get here on a ship, so I'm not sure. It's a mess. It's a mess. But the thing she says is, and this is right in there, this part's clear. Whatever you want, the ultimate dream machine that is the Nexus will re-upgrade to keep you thinking you have what you want. So when they decide to leave, they just have a dream about fighting Soran, and the rest of those movies are a dream. Picard was aware of the events of First Contact and may even have played into them, but the way he dreamt about them in the movie Generations, where we see things that we shouldn't see, like Mr. Hawk turning into Borg without any kind of, I mean, maybe they could incapacitate him, but the fact that he grew implants in a minute,
yeah,
clearly a dream in the Nexus to me.
Definitely. Okay, guys, we've got the hard-hitting question. Snortapoopa says, well, no, first Hungry Boy says, ask the cookie question, Pudgy. Snortapoopa says, cue Pudgy's hard-hitting question. Oh, this one's hard-hitting. Question. Favorite cookie that is not chocolate chip? I guess Pudgy's gotten tired of just everybody doing nothing but chocolate chip. So, what is your favorite cookie that is not chocolate chip?
With all due deference to the venerable and all-American chocolate chip cookie that was first made by our ancestors, I can tell the American people and the world that my favorite cookie happens to be a Girl Scout Thin Mint. I prefer them chilled. I did the greatest cookie. I can eat like 3 sleeves of them in about 15 minutes.
All right. Thin Mint Girl Scout cookies. All right. We've got
chilled. I will put them in the fridge and wait the 25 minutes. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have not chilled your Thin Mint Girl Scout cookies, take it from Admiral Teag. I'm a man used to the finer things. This is the Corinthian leather of Girl Scout cookies.
All right,
Yeah.
there's the.
And hey,
There is
Girl
the.
Scouts.
All right,
How'd I do?
let's see.
There's the
You
chat.
did-
Are you not entertained? Just try to prove.
Yes.
Yes, Smarty. They're made with
hello.
They're made with real Girl Scouts.
Hello, Wendy Trauma Warrior. How you doing?
Hello, Wendy Trauma Warrior, and thank you for all the great things and good things you do. It's only because of people like you I'm able to walk around in New York City and feel like maybe it'll be okay.
Yeah. Hello. Okay.
If the worst thing possible happens, I know that there's someone who's cool, who cares. Maybe a lot of trauma warriors are that cool. You have to really be altruistic to do it, and I thank you.
Making the original and remastered both available or offered together. Is that something all shows or movies should offer, aka Star Wars? Well, George Lucas was like,
he did it once.
He did it a couple times, several remasters. What the most recent was having the Hayden Christensen Anakin take over at the very end.
Yeah, I'm hating Christensen too. You're talking about the movie still. I loved him in the movies. Yeah, I'm hating. Why is Odo in Ahsoka? What was up with Odo teaching Ahsoka lightsaber skills? I'm confused by that, but maybe someone smarter than me can answer that. Hand shot first and last. That's right.
Yeah.
Although actually, Greedo's gun I think did go off anyway, but like off to the side, like he blew him back, and then Greedo may have fired into like the roof. But yeah, no, Han absolutely wastes Greedo, and he's like, nobody gonna take my ship. Wham! And that was when I fell in love with Star Wars, because I was just fascinated up until that point. I was enchanted, and I was in a sense of wonder. But when Han Solo just blows away Greedo, I was like, this guy's cool. Yeah. Okay. When it comes to fan fiction, go ahead. I'll go ahead and read it. I'm sorry.
When it comes to fan fiction videos, do you have a favorite? Star Trek Continues or Exeter?
I like Starship Exeter a lot because the costumes are good, even though the acting is mid. The story is decent. Check that out here. Next, I would say Star Trek Continues is very high quality, of the highest quality of the Star Trek fanfic we've seen made. I have not seen a lot of it. I should probably at least see the one. Didn't they get Yeoman Rand in one, right? They had Grace Lee Whitney. So I should see at least that one. I respect everyone I've heard talk about Star Trek Continues has spoken about it with great respect. Axanar, I mean, can I get a pass on that one? Because what's there for me to rate? A pretty good trailer?
Yeah, that's it. You don't see anything with it.
It could have fallen off a cliff, or it could have been great. We just don't know.
Yeah. He also says Avalon Universe, which is the same makers as Axanar, if I remember right.
What I would be welcome. I would welcome checking that out. I'm not familiar with it.
Let's see. Mine would be Star Trek Continues.
Right.
I like Big Mignogna. And especially their finale, which is an homage to Where No Man Goes Before, which was awesome. And the Cawley, I forgot the title of it, but the one made by Jim Cawley would be my second. And then my third would be Star Trek Hidden Frontier, which includes Star Trek Odyssey. It had various spin-offs. So those would be my top three. Axanar, as you said, I don't know. I haven't seen enough to really.
That's not tangible enough. There's about 9-minute trailer. Yeah, it looked good. I mean, but like, isn't that like now like 13 years later? So I mean, I as much as I respect bringing it up, because like people were trying to bring back a more honest form of Star Trek with it, I would say, yeah, for me, I'm gonna go with Continues. But if you want to check out something cool, Starship Exeter full episodes is on YouTube. It's not great, but they do their best, and it feels more like Trek than New Trek. I like it a little bit. I like it. Yeah. And also Star Trek Philosophy, very funny. Check that out.
Yeah. Star Trek Farragut was also pretty good too.
I have not seen that one.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. Talking Star Trek. Do you consider the Orville a spiritual? What were you going to say?
Go ahead. Don't worry.
Do you consider the Orville a spiritual successor of Star Trek, or something else?
Well, here's something you'll only find out on Saving Star Trek, because first of all, I think one thing I should do now is acknowledge one of the things that makes my show, I think, so appealing to people is, and I want to thank everyone who's been supporting my show, because it's been, I never expected this reaction, and I'm flattered, but it's because I have good panels and good friends, and because we try to ride, the high road and do our best. I might not be the greatest or most knowledgeable Star Trek pundit. I might not be able to do a parlor trick where I can name every episode of the original series in 1 minute, and win some kind of prize. But you know what? I got a Google machine. I got a phone. I'm trained in research. I can find these things out. And I have a great panel. I've got PDB, who's great. I've got Dark Helmet, who's great. I've got, a lot of times, Appion has helped us out. He was great and invaluable in Strange New Worlds. Captain Fandom Nerd and other great people to help me out. Mm-hmm. And that's where it comes from, And you're not going to find any one individual who doesn't have some holes or some bias in their Star Trek or Star Wars knowledge. And when we have debates, like the debate we had about Ahsoka, will probably conclude tomorrow. We talked a little bit about it, but we'll probably talk about it on Friday. I'm sorry, on my show when it ends. Is it's been worth it, because some people are kind of in the middle on the show, waiting for it to play out. Some people have a more negative view. No one is like really over the top about it. They've seen too much to be super excited at this point. But some people are still, and it's strange. I don't know if my approach to assessing Star Trek would work with Star Wars. People might resent it too much.
Okay. Wow. There are so many questions, and we could be going on forever, but we are kind of on a time.
We got about 20 minutes. So,
but you had something you wanted to talk to me about, or talk to the chat about. So let me just let's just grab a couple more questions. Hungry Boy says the animated series.
Fire if you want.
The animated series speaks more to me than DS9, despite how much I adore Nana Visitor. Phantom Outsider says only the episode Yesteryear was considered canon due to DC Fontana. Again, Phantom, I disagree. The whole thing should have been. Every episode of Star Trek should have been canon. Let's see.
Yeah, there it is, Star Trek. No appellation. It was considered Star Trek. I don't know. I'm with you on that one. Although, again, I want to rewatch them.
Yeah.
Keeping them like.
I mean, there were some that were kind of hokey, but still, you've got the original crew, you've got the Enterprise. It should have been canon.
Gene Roddenberry was so collaborative and such a good delegator that when he messes up delegating, it's usually a surprise, and sometimes, a story can go wrong. But what we used to have that's lost now, and I think it was Deep Space Nine where we really start to lose this, was episodes that didn't necessarily come off the way they were intended, that were still great, maybe for other reasons, like they were hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like a failed episode that was still deeply entertaining. Like I was entertained by episodes that missed the mark, but were still like, almost in the, they were in the ballpark. It was a worthy story. It was a Trek-worthy concept, but maybe not everything comes together, which is something we said about Omega Glory.
Yeah. Hungry says, want to improve sci-fi franchises, just add prog. Yes. Pink Floyd.
Now, would you count The Expanse playing Deep Purple?
Yes, I would.
I liked listening to Highway Star while I watched that. And I think it was Highway Star by like a Finnish metal band, right? Because it's in another language or it's in Belter. Mm-hmm. And we see the guy disintegrate. I liked listening to Highway Star in that situation. The Expanse is a good show.
Yeah, it is. Very good show. Let's see.
People say it got woke. I would say I don't know if it got woke so much as it kind of got a little confused and started just looking for things to talk about for a little while because it doesn't delve deeply into any of this woke stuff. At least not that I've seen. I got to admit, the first season after they open up the ring universe inside our solar system, I'm like, maybe now they're out of books or something. Maybe it's just freewheeling TV people because it's not quite as good after that.
Yeah.
The Thomas Jane story is the best.
Snort says, I have to address this issue about the Borg crashing in the Arctic. They were delicious. Way to go, Snort.
Imagine a polar bear with like a laser pointer on its eye, right? And like one arm.
Don't say that too loud, man. Just because we may see that in the. Actually, I do have a video.
Right, the polar Borg are attacking.
I do have a meme, and I usually say the meme. Usually save the memes for just cause, but now that we've broached that, I will bring out this only meme. All right. Okay, this didn't. Can everybody hear me?
We can still hear you. You're 5x5 in the sound, and everybody out there in Streamland, in YouTube land, let us know if we're still able to be heard. But yeah, no, I was waiting for the meme. Oh, here we go.
There you go, Snort. Close enough.
See?
Close enough, Snort.
I would point this out too, right? We don't see the people from TNG in the episode of Enterprise where we find out there's Borg in the Arctic. We don't see him. We don't see him. Yep. Yeah, yep. We only see the guy from Babe Pig in the City, James Cromwell. We only see him and the Vulcan. So I suggest that First Contact happened in a way different from it's presented in the movie First Contact, which is a dream in the Nexus to me, because I don't want some of those movies to be canonical. Those TNG movies were, I mean, inoffensive at best, forgettable at worst.
Dalek 451 says, I liked Ahsoka for the most part. Slow in places, but not too bad. The last episode was all over the place. I don't know what to think about it.
I think you were taken by a ride. I watched enough of this show to believe that the Star Wars fans, God bless you, and I'm one of you. But, you still have a lot of hope. And they're able to manipulate this hope. And, if you look at my video on propaganda, I use Star Trek, but I could make another one for Star Wars about how we've been gaslit and how we've been deceived. I even got into this with my friend Roman of the Empire about how what they do now is they know that these stories are bad. So what they do is they meat shield the cast. Let me ask you a question. Everyone says the same answer. Who did you hear about first? Inquisitor, Reva, or the Kenobi show?
Inquisitor, Reva, or the Kenobi show.
Which one do you hear about?
Inquisitor, because I watched Rebels.
Right. But here's the thing, though. In the publicity, before I heard about the Kenobi show, or the way I heard about the Kenobi show, is this. We think a lot of the people who are problematic in our franchise will have issues with one of our new characters. That's the first I heard of that show, was that I was instructed that I was going to need to be cool with this character or I'd be problematic. And one of the terms I like to use with saving Star Trek and assessing all of this is, we are not toxic fans. We are just dealing with failed creators. To call criticism of these shows toxic is, I'm sorry, you get to be paid to be an artist. Someone called Michelangelo a loser too.
Okay, last question, and then we'll go to your final comments, and then we'll do show notes. Jill asks, I've listened to so much from you, but I don't know something very crucial. When and how did you find out that you love Star Trek?
There was a series of events a couple of times at the toy store when I was asked what I wanted, I only ever wanted Star Trek stuff. The Star Trek gifts were notoriously poorly made. They never worked. They had to keep going back again and again, but I only wanted the toys until my parents let me keep a broken set of communicators. And I guess it was when I was in my first day of grammar school, and I was like nervous, and I like kind of just didn't know what to say or do. And I looked down at my desk and I grabbed, remember those pink erasers that you get for the first day of school?
Yeah.
And I took my pencil and I started making it into the Galileo.
You know when I first.
The kid next to me knew what it was, and that was like the first friend I had in grammar school. So, yeah, that was probably when I would say that moment I realized that I really loved Star Trek, and that Captain Kirk was maybe a role model. But I should stop running up and trying to kick people with 2 feet from midair because it doesn't really hurt them.
Yeah, that's gotta hurt. We're old.
It hurt me to do it. Yeah.
Mine was, I think when I realized it, was I was being babysit, and to do something with my fidgety hands, I just got a bunch of paper and I started drawing and I started cutting. And in the space of maybe a half hour, I drew and cut. I made a paper model of the helm and the transporter. And I knew at that point, Star Trek is definitely a part of me. And I still remember my babysitter looking at me as if I was insane. Well, I am insane, but but that's when
but you weren't afraid to talk and say and chatter up because you had been watching Captain Kirk. You're like, so I notice you've served my hobby. I couldn't notice.
Yeah.
Perhaps you'd like to take a walk with me to the refrigerator to get some root beer and we can talk about things. Come from one of those points of light. Did you ever on a date when you didn't know what to say, just say, I come from one of those points in the sky you call stars?
Nope, never did that.
Yeah, now me
never did. Never
I've
did
considered it though. I've considered it.
All right. So that runs us through the questions. We could have done this longer. Admiral,
I'm sorry. You want to do a speed round? I could give a one-line question to every answer if you we'll answer to.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. You had something when we were in the back room. You had something you wanted to talk about. Please.
Oh yeah, more
please
so than sure. Thank you for bringing that up. More so than subbing to my channel. Recently, I had an experience where I lost my biological father to the effects of Agent Orange. 56,000 American soldiers were lost to enemy action in the Vietnam War, which was commonly thought of to be about 10 years. Most estimates are that 300,000 Americans in all branches of the military have perished from the effects of Agent Orange and the other toxins used. Disabled American Veterans is a charity that you can vet yourself, and please do your own due diligence. This money does not pass through my hands, and it will help an American veteran. It helped my poor stepmother get a night's sleep when she was going through the pain of losing her husband, someone she loved and who was important to her. They were able to send someone over to make a difference. And you know what? If you want to do something, if you are an American and you want to help out someone who laid it on the line for America and made it back to tell the story, and now maybe might be paying the price for it, you could do that, and it's a good thing to do. It would help someone.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Thank you for letting me say that. I appreciate that greatly.
Oh, thank you. And on the same token, also think about the American Legion.
Absolutely.
Yes. I'm a Legionnaire, so I can I'll plug that as well. So
I thank you, and I saw beautiful flowers at the Doughboy statue in Doughboy Square here in Queens, where they had been laid out by the American Legion.
Okay. All right. So this was a great show. Thank you very much, Admiral Teag. But
I really enjoyed myself.
Yes.
Thank you.
But now it's time for show notes.
Oh, here we go.
Yes. Wait, I'm waiting for some comments about show notes. Okay, I've lost everybody. Everybody's running now that I said show notes.
Don't worry, guys. It's show notes with Admiral Teag. It's not just show notes. Thank you, Sandra, for reposting that. I appreciate all of you for doing that. And you know what? Press F for our to honor fallen comrades and American soldiers.
Snorapoopa says, brace itself for shock and horror. And there is the disabled American.
You don't have to brace, Snortapoopus. Star Trek Discovery Season 5 is until middle 2024. You got time.
And it is time for...
Bum, bum, bum.
Where are you? Okay.
Shows with Mr. Ray. Show notes with Sandra Mr. Raymond, push the button.
Give me one more second. I want to put one more. Come on, where? Yeah. There you guys. And Admiral, you may want to. When we get close to Veterans Day, I usually try to bring a veteran on to talk about things, and it will not be any different. So I highly invite you to come.
Well, let's be clear. I never served. My father served, but yeah.
No, you can
very much enjoy it. I would very much enjoy it. Yes, and I might do something that day too.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we got show notes. Podtober continues this Sunday. I can't do it as well as Pudgy does. Sunday, live, uncensored, unfiltered. Just cause on Sunday. Oh, that hurt.
Yeah, where's Pudgy?
He's there.
Be part of this. Okay.
He's there.
Pudgy has no questions for Admiral. Okay. But Pudgy did press F, as did Anti-Derivative Jill. Thank you all.
Yes.
Appreciate that.
We have to wait a full year for this crap to be over. Son of a... Jill, watch your language. I do not...
we didn't want it that way, guys. We didn't want it this way.
We didn't start the fire.
You know what, though? I got to say...
I asked it. We asked it. The hard-hitting question?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, wait a minute. There was another question?
Pudgy, for you, we're going to answer the question.
Yes. Where? Pudgy, repost your question. I know we answered the cookie question, but was there something else?
I will use my genetically engineered intellect to give you the best answer I can.
Okay. Yeah, Pudgy, repost your question. I thought only
very live.
Yeah, I do not know which one it was.
It's a mystery, and I don't like mysteries. They give me.
Come on, Pudgy.
Come on, Pudgy, you're giving me a red alert right here.
We're holding the show up we're going to answer this question, but what question?
We're not going to yield our ground. We're going to be like the New Trek people here. There's no proof that you didn't not send the question, and maybe you just send it again. You got lost in a temporal time,
okay, I got favorite cookie. That's not a chocolate. Okay, favorite cookie that is not a chocolate chip cookie. Sandra, help me out. Do you
refrigerated Girl Scout Thin Mints?
Yep.
Chilled.
Okay. Is there another question that we got? Did we miss? We can't let this little hedgehog go without the hard-hitting questions getting answered.
I stand ready to answer. Snickerdoodle. Yes, I would eat a snickerdoodle. And also, I would adopt one and raise it from an egg. I heard they make good pets.
Rock the Pudgy, love.
You're welcome, Pudgy. It was very important that we got that information to you.
I did not. I did
We
not know.
managed to resurrect at least an answer for you. Now, Pudgy.
Oh yeah,
knows.
okay. Okay. It was the cookie
No,
question. Yes, it was the Girl Scout Thin Mints.
and I'm not a cheap date. They're like $10 a box, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah. They're made from real Girl Scouts.
Yes. All right. So this is show notes now that we've answered the hard hitting question. All right, we got Sunday. And a week from today, we got a special treat. Our own martial artist, mixed martial arts person, Kevin Humes will be coming back. He just got his blue belt in jiu-jitsu. And I want to hear his story, and I know you guys would love hearing his story too. So he will be coming back in a week to talk to us about his journey in martial arts and the awards that he got. On the 14th, we will be having our normal Just Cuz. On the 18th is our big 200th episode. I don't know what's going to be there.
Wow,
It could be
congratulations.
it could be Surfside Chat. It could be the podcast, the debut of the podcast. So
Congratulations on your bicentennial. Today, we celebrate your Independence Day.
All right. On the 22nd, another Sunday episode because I'll be on an away mission. And actually, that will be, if we can do it. Well, Sunday will be a Sunday just because I'm on an away mission. The Monday, the 23rd, is our 2-year anniversary for King Dolphin TV, the exact day of King Dolphin TV when we actually did our first live stream. So that will be on Monday. And no, Pudgy. No. You don't want to see me in a yellow Speedo. That's rather disturbing.
Orange, on the other hand, that we want to see.
Oh, no. It's been a long time since I wore Speedos. Long time.
Never the Speedo type, but I think I can
Yeah.
still pull off a normal bathing suit. Thank
Yeah.
you.
And Podtober will end on October 28th. Yeah, because November 1st is October 28th is my birthday, so that will be the conclusion of Podtober. So
Happy 30th.
yes, it's gonna be Podtober. Please hashtag Podtober.
It's been a long road.
Yeah.
Way to go. And thanks for having me on. It was great to be
Yes,
part
thank
of
you
it.
for
Glad to help you kick off Podtober, man.
Yeah, thank you for being here. It was fun. Wish we had a lot more time to talk more about Star Trek and everything else.
Well, you're going to have to come on Saving Star Trek one of these days and talk about
I
your
sure
favorite
will.
episode.
I
Yeah.
sure will.
And Sandra is invited as well.
Mhm. All right. Hungry Boy is saying, marking the calendar. Yes. And please, I am 14 subscribers away from 300. Please pass the word on. Let's get me to 300. Let's get me to 300 subscribers before Podtober is over.
Let's get both
I
of us to
appreciate
300. We're both just about the same amount away. Isn't
Yes,
it great?
let's get it done.
When we both have 300 subs, we'll be able to hold the pass at Thermopylae.
Yeah, that's true. The 300 Spartans. Yes. Yes, please. Let's do it before the end of Podtober. And Hungry says, we wear hammocks. All right. So that is show notes. Well,
It's time for show notes. It's time for show notes. It's time for show notes. With Mr. Raymond and Sandra too. It's time for show notes. Dun, dun.
you guys knew I had to put that on there to thoroughly.
It's Snorter Poopus. I get that reference. No, you Sly Dog, I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. All right, guys, this was a fantastic show. Again, thank you, Admiral Teag, and let us thank everybody who was here.
I was honored, by the way. Thank you, chat, and thank you, Sandra, and thank you, Raymond. I am just absolutely flattered and honored. Thank you so much for having me aboard.
All right. Pudgy says, thank you for a fun show. Good night, everyone. Yes. All right. So, who was here? We had Captain Infinity. Thank you for being here. We had the Dad Man Walking. We had Hungry Boy, Herc 130. We had John Chipola. We had the lovely Carla Burton. We had the Phantom Outsider. We had Rocco the Brave. Thank you for showing up. First time here. Hope you've subscribed. We had the great Scotty R37. And that is our chat. And now the amazing team, King Dolphin TV. You guys have taken the second year of King Dolphin TV to the next level. First off, my amazing producer, my other half, the yin to my yang, Sandra, love you, baby. We had our co-host, Wendy Webb, Trauma Warrior, show up. Thank you very much, Wendy. We had the amazing Anti-Derivative Jill. And please subscribe to her channel. She does some amazing things.
Great Star Trek content. She's a great Star Trek reviewer.
Yep. And Fet for Hire was here. Thank you, Fet, for the amazing splash page and everything you do for this channel. You know what he does. Subscribe to him. We had the first in, the last out. Legatus Legionii asking great questions tonight, as usual. We had Lenrod come by, lurking, because he was working. We had the hard-hitting.
Lenrod.
We had the hard-hitting Pudgy Hedgehog with the questions that no one dare ask. Hello, and don't forget to go to his adventures and listen to his stories. We had Stark of Iron. Here. Thank you he was working, and thank you for being here. And last but definitely not least, Snorter Poopas! Super. Dot Scream. I like it. Dot Scream. Great show. Snorter Poopas Q Burr, who says, take care, every human, dolphin, doggo, Dalek, ferret, eagle, hedgehog, and wombat.
Can we get? Sorry, I didn't mean to stop you. Can we get our pal of King Dolphin TV, Raymond, here up to 20 likes? Can just one lurker hit that like for him and help him get the word out? And please hit the like and follow buttons and join this great channel where they have a good time.
Thank you very much,
You're
Teague.
welcome.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. And thank you for supporting Saving Star Trek.
Yep.
Together we will save
please,
Star Trek.
Yes, please go to Saving Star Trek, Admiral Teag's channel, like and subscribe to that one. And Snorter Poopa says, we know what Fet does, and it scares the hell out of us, as it should.
We're gonna talk about you making me a logo. I love your work. Maybe some Wrath
Oh!
on lettering.
You're right, Dalek. I am so sorry. You have every right to
Dalek.
exterminate me.
Yep.
Yes, you can exterminate me. Please subscribe to Dalek, and thank you, Dalek, for being here. Thank you for reminding me. I go through so many, and I know you're part of the team, so I forgive me.
He's been getting a decent show of his own off the ground when he does
Yes,
it.
he
I heard
does.
it a couple of times, and I have enjoyed
Yeah.
Dalek 451. People should give him a shot.
Yes, please do. And I hope everybody got to check out his birthday stream, which kicked off. Well, it didn't quite kick off Podtober, but it was the prelude to Podtober.
Dalek, I like you, but F you, child. Youth is wasted on the young. If I could get near you, I'd suck out your life force because I, in fact, am a vampire like Palpatine. I'm a Highlander. Yeah, as soon as we wrap up here, I've got to get over to that building with my Claymore to wait for any other Highlanders. Because I think on the subway today, Raymond, as I was going through Manhattan, I felt the quickening. I think there might be another immortal in New York. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, hail Dalek. I am so sorry. I am so sorry.
Hey, you got an endorsement and a shout out. We more than made it up to it.
That's true. That's true. All right. Well, everybody. Sandra says she has a big sword, and yes, she does. She does.
Show Highlander.
Yep, she has a Highlander. She has a Highlander sword. Huge.
We are
Huge sword.
to be kings. I'm sorry. I love that movie. So what are you here cruising? I have to stop. We're keeping it PG. I think I chose the wrong line. Okay.
Well, everybody, if you're going to pop culture breakdown, make sure that you do Pod Raid and make sure you hashtag Podtober. Let's get Podtober trending. And we will see you on Sunday, this coming Sunday, for Just Cuz, where the chaos happens. The kitty tables are fresh, and we have a humongous time. Thank you again. Love you all, and be safe, and see you Sunday. Bye.
This segment